Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Richmond Raceway, Race 7. But here we are for the TWIGI iRacing series. Short track racing. Once again here for the TWIGI iRacing series. It's going to be a lot of fun. 19 cars currently present for tonight's event. Practice times scrolling at the top of your screen. First six races of the season, there's only been 3 different winners. James Wurtzema won at Daytona. Rudy Valentine won last week at Sonoma. Merrick Watchorn won the 4 races in between. It's Watchorn's home track. It's TWIGI iRacing Series home track here in Richmond, Virginia. Can Watchorn get his 20th career win in the series? We're going to find out. Competition looks pretty fierce. Alec Daffin top of the board. Brave Weileman in second place. So Summit Esports sitting 1-2 at the moment. Connor Morris looks threatening once again. That 09 machine sitting in the 4th position as you see the scenic shots here from Richmond. This is what we are looking at here in Richmond. 78 degrees, the track temp, 111 degrees, the track temp, excuse me, 78 degrees, the air temperature, 55% humidity, not a super humid track. Temperatures regarding the engines, regarding keeping everything under wraps and cool, shouldn't be difficult, but the tires will be screaming this afternoon. Next to no wind, can't get much more ideal than that. Not long now until qualifying begins. We have gotten 21 cars, excuse me, on track here with the addition of Jack Stanley and Lilac Sear. Not the largest grid in TWIGI iRacing Series history, but that's not always a bad thing. TWIGI's always been a group that's prioritized quality over quantity, and looking top and down through this field, obviously less than a minute left in practice, there's a lot of quality in these 21 cars. Daffin, Weileman, Watchorn, Morris, Howell, Gregg, easy top 6 cars there. Then you have John Ledger looking like he's got a pretty decent run here going on at number 25 machine. Kyle Dersham looking to kind of break through. John Holliday in 9th place. John Bawada looking pretty good there in 10th. You got Doug Betts, Callie Bajent, Kyle Smith, Patrick Hernandez. Welcome back Patrick Hernandez from vacation. So Watchorn Motorsports has their 4th driver already here. Jacob Elkins, Maurice Gamillion, they're also here. So all 4 of Watchorn Motorsports full power tonight for that Toyota team. You look at Kyle Smith, you look at Dennis Crosby, you look at James Thompson. A lot of good drivers in this field. Pretty easy top to bottom to say this is a pretty stacked grid here at Richmond. But now it's time for qualifying to get underway. We'll see how everything looks here in qualifying. First couple cars out on track. Looks like it's going to be the 09 of Connor Morris. Not his debut, by any stretch of the imagination. Been in a couple races now, but Connor Morris doing a fantastic job so far. Morrison Thompson currently on the board. Connor Moore's provisional pole, 22.6. Second lap did not help him at all. Hometown driver, Merrick Watchorn. We'll figure out where he goes. Weileman goes fastest with a 22.57. Watchorn starting his first lap now. What can Watchorn do? Can he get on the front row? He's third fastest in practice. First lap in the books, provisional pole. 22.45 for Watchorn. That's the lap to beat. Maurice Gamillion also on a lap here. Looking for a steady lap in the number 44 for Watchorn Motorsports. Where does it land him? Front row, provisionally front row for Maurice Gamillion. Talk about an arrival at home. Watchorn Motorsports provisionally has a 1-2. Waiting to see if Alec Daffin breaks it up. Daffin finally got one up on Watchorn at Sonoma last week. Had lost the previous 4 chances against him as Watchorn won all 4 of those races. Daffin's first lap goes only second fastest. He will not have a chance to go for pole. He wasted his first lap, and his second lap only enough for second place. Times, the fastest lap times, top of your screen. 20 of 21 drivers will set lap times. Patrick Hernandez, the only driver not setting a lap time so far in this season, or in this race, I should say. But a huge ordeal. With a minute left in qualifying. And there you can see the kind of the gaps there. Lilac Zier did not have a good lap. Zier typically loves tracks like Richmond. Did phenomenal in the HTL Cup Series race here at Richmond. Finished in 3rd place in that race, and what was her first start in the series. So this track's typically one that Lilac comes to grips with pretty quickly. Just thrown off by qualifying. Was a late join in practice. Didn't really get a lot of time in on track. In fact, Lilac Zero, if we pan to her real quick, I believe she's still running practice laps here, trying to get up to speed. So very much getting up to terms here in the number 89 machine. There's Lilac Zier. Obviously 2 Champ Car race wins, 2 wins in the Formula Atlantic competition, which runs mostly on short ovals. Won the first race at Iowa back on Tuesday, as well as getting a race win at Motegi 3 weeks ago in that series. Again, for those that are just now tuning in, this is what we're looking at. 3/4 of a mile is a lap around Richmond Raceway. It's a track with a lot of history in stock car racing and open wheel racing all together. Track temp has gone down a little bit from qualifying. 103 degrees is the track temp. 78 degrees still the air temp. 56% humidity. Next to 0 wind here in Richmond International Raceway. 21 cars on the grid for this race. Merrick Watchorn, pole position. Alongside him will be Alec Daffin. Maurice Gamillion almost got that front row lockout for Watchorn Motorsports. Instead, he will start in 3rd place alongside Brady Weileman. Connor Morris, Chris Howell will start in row 3. Then it's Brennan Gregg and Callie Bajent in row number 4. Row 5, Kyle Dershman, Doug Betts. Row 6 is where you'll find Jacob Elkins, the defending series champion. And he'll be alongside John Holliday. Looking a little bit further down the order here, John Ledger, Kyle Smith in row 7. Row 8, John Bowalta Jr. alongside Brad Slagle. Dennis Crosby will be in the inside of James Thompson there in row 9. Row 10 is Jack Stanley and Lilac Zier, with Patrick Hernandez filling us at a lap time. He'll start at the back of the field in 21st. .200 laps, 150 miles here. It's the Bumper to Bumper 150. And you will see some crown horns. You'll see some crown horns. You'll see some bumper-to-bumper action here. This track has been pretty renowned for some physicality, so elbows out racing. Part of Richmond's charm. It's got the physicality of tracks like Martinsville, but space to it equivalent to that of a Phoenix, or really an Iowa, really. Seeing a 4-wide salute here going on. Obviously, multiple reasons for this salute. A lot of saluting going on here as everyone kind of gets into form. Front rows of 4. I believe they're going to try to spread out and get everyone in a row of 4 here. A lot of reasons for TWIGI. This is their home race, and it's a bit of a salute to the lives lost in the mass shooting in Nashville. For us here on ABN, today's Trans Day of Visibility. We've made our thoughts pretty clear on it on social media in the past year, and it's worth echoing here as well. Trans Day of Visibility means so much, but it means even more when we're being heard and not just seen. So for everyone top to bottom from TWIGI to ABN, this salute is for everyone watching and supporting us. For those that have lost family members, for those that have lost loved ones, this one's for you. Everyone will begin to kind of get formed up here. For everyone tuning in tonight on a wonderful Friday evening, it's rainy here where we're at in ABN Studios in Ohio. But we're hoping that your weather has been great and that your evening's been even better. We appreciate you all. We love you all tuning in with us here on a Friday evening. It's the Bumper to Bumper 150 about to begin. Everyone getting situated here as they catch up to the pace car. Everyone's going to get caught up to the pace car. Again, Merrick Watchorn on pole position. Alec Daffin will sit in second place on the front row. Row 2 will be made up of Maurice Gilmillian and Connor Morris. Excuse me, Brady Mileman. Connor Morris will be in 5th alongside Chris Howell. There's the pace car. You see the lights still on. Again, for those that are kind of new to ABN or haven't tuned in as frequently, I'm Carmen Hardy. You see that icon in the top left of your screen? It's not just an icon, it's who we are. We're proud of it and we love it. And these drivers, 21 of them, this is what they love. Short track racing at its finest. 21 cars here for the TWIGI iRacing series. Lights out on the pace car. It's going to be physical. Some bump and run. That's Richmond's MO. This series has been lights out on the short ovals. From Iowa to Phoenix. Here we are at Richmond. Series has been absolutely incredible. We love being here. Pace car pulls into pit lane through the restart zone. Green flag is in the air. We're racing at Richmond. Two-hour time limit, but we shouldn't need it for 200 laps here. Still side by side. Daffin led that lap. We are underway. Well and truly, multiple lanes here. This is very akin to what we saw at Phoenix several weeks ago. Multiple lines, outside lane should come into its own, but on these early runs here at the start, on restarts, if we see them tonight, that inside lane can be potent. You see Daffin beginning to kind of edge away here. He'll take the lead, but he's not going to be able to get clear. These two have raced each other hard from last year going into this year. Took a road course for Daffin to finally get one up this year on the 91 of Watchorn. Watchorn hanging it in there on the inside. Has not made it easy. Watchorn well and truly the points leader in this competition. Just trying to hang in there. This is sort of how Phoenix played out, almost to a dot. Daffin was quickest for most of this race. A late restart threw it all right into Watchorn's hands. And as a result, he kind of just walked away with it. Going into this race, Watchorn had a 128-point lead over Brennan Gray. Kyle Smith was third in points, and Alec Daffin was sitting in fourth in points. Obviously, Alec Daffin trying to climb up after missing Daytona. Daffin may just get clear here. Took him 6 laps to finally get clear. And Watchorn immediately sailed it in on the bottom. Now he has full control over how he wants to run this car. But Watchorn now has the ability to sort of try to build up momentum. Watchorn couldn't build up any momentum on this track. He had to sit and really stifle any momentum he had, any run he had, because he couldn't walk out to the wall. He was stuck on the inside lane. Now he can kind of arc out a little bit more. He can use a little bit more of that rolling speed without having to check up and avoiding contact. That is Lilac Zier in the 89, who is already 1 lap down here. Not good going so far for the 89 Zier, who sits in 20th position. John Ledger also looks like officially out of this race early on after only 4 completed laps. But this is the front of the field, as it has been so many times already. Right now it's Daffin, Watchorn, and Weileman. Chris Howell sitting in the 5th position behind Maurice Gomillion. And you have Connor Morris sitting in 6th. Callie Bajent has moved up a spot, up to 7th place for Age Unique Racing. She's the only car for that team tonight. Alex Martin, I don't believe, is present. He is not present. So it is just on Callie Bajent and Age Unique Racing here tonight. Right now she sits 7th. Not a bad look for the number 36 machine. Brennan Gregg sits in the 18th spot. Then Kyle Dersham sits in 10th, but Jacob Elkins sits in front of him. There you see the number 9 of Elkins, the Columbus, Ohio native, sitting and rolling at this particular point in time. Defending series champion. We're right on board with him. This is what it looks like having to fight in the mid-pack. He's behind Brennan Gregg for Ascent Racing. All the moves that are made here take so much longer to develop because of how quick these laps are. These are 23-second lap times, which are extremely quick for stock cars. But that's how quickly these laps tick away. You're completing essentially 3 laps a minute, as Elkins had to back up there, check out of it because Brennan Gregg got a little bit too close to Bajent in front of him. But Elkins trying to move forward here for Watch Winning Motorsports. 3 cars for that team in the top 10. Hernandez up 7 spots, and 14th is the 4th car for that team. In fact, we see that move going on now. See if it's on. Elkins couldn't get that momentum because Brennan Gregg was still on the outside. He couldn't get all the way to the wall to hold that momentum. So now Brennan Gregg's on the outside, and he's going to slot it in on the outside of Bajent. But Bajent was able to stay clear. Really good emphasis on how this track operates here. Oh, trouble! Trouble! Gregg in the wall! That's Doug Betts! Caution's out! And that's how quickly things can change. And they were still wrecking, and that, I believe, Kyle Smith and Kyle Dersham, the Kyle and Kyle show, in the wall in turn 3. Started on the exit of turn 2, and it went all the way down into turn 3. And that was an ugly one. Looking at Doug Betts, but it's a 3-wide situation here. There's Kyle Dersham. You kind of see what happened to them because they crashed into turn 3. And you see Dersham just kind of lost it, and into the wall they both went. Really good camera angle there of them trying to get back rolling here. Several cars did not pit. Callie Bajent was one of them. In the number 36 machine, she'll sit behind Chris Howell. See if there's any damage. Looks like there might be a little bit on that right rear quarter panel for Bajent. And then Kyle Dersham went a lap down there. Merrick Watchorn in pit stops leapfrogged Alec Daffin. Watchorn will start 3rd place here on this restart behind Howell and Bajent. So it'll put Daff on the outside row 2. And you'd imagine that's not the worst thing in the world because Daffin was able to get the lead off of the initial start there. It took him several laps to do so, but he finally got it. It's a lot different being the second car in line on the outside lane. Being the second car in either lane is very difficult, but it changes your entire outlook when you're the second car on the outside lane, and especially if Chris Howell goes to the inside and Bajent's on the outside. We don't know how okay Bajent's car is after that contact with Brennan Gregg. So, if you're Daffin, you're kind of hoping that Chris Howell goes to the outside here. But Chris Howell, if he's aware, he's going to know that Bajent's not 100%, so he can kind of pick whatever lane he wants to here. I think that's the big key there, is just making sure you're kind of aware of what's going on around you here. Obviously getting ready to go green. Looking for his first win this season. Was part of the phenomenal race we saw at Atlanta near the beginning of the season. But right now, and he did go to the inside. Bajent went to the outside lane. That helps out Watchorn a little bit, and that makes life a little bit more difficult for Alec Daffin. So we're going to zoom out just a little bit so we can get a good scope of this. This is from above the broadcast booth here at Richmond. This is almost from the spotter stand. Again, Howell and Bajent, they did not pit. Everyone else pit here. 17 laps in is when everyone pit. That's when the caution came out. It's Howell and Bajent front row on this restart to the restart zone. And Bajent could not get close enough there. It allows Watchorn to get clear. Weileman checked out of it a little bit, allowed Daffin to kind of get himself clear. So now Daffin's going to do a lot of the dirty work all over again. Chris Howell on old tires. Watchorn getting impatient, move to the inside lane. I don't know if that's the play. But Watchorn on fresh tires is going to make a shot at it. And it's going to work. He's going to get clear. Daffin will not get clear. Now he'll get clear. Bajent in the wall. Not a good time for Bajent so far, who had damage going into that restart. Right now, Merrick Watchorn leads the way over Alec Daffin, Brady Weileman, and Connor Morris. Biggest gainer so far is 22 of Dennis Crosby. So early going favors the 91 of Watchorn with Alec Daffin again sitting in second. Jacob Elkins, number 9 machine, he's up 6 spots, sitting in the 5th position. That was a car in the wall. And I believe that might have been the 80 to Chris Howell. May not have been. Someone tagged the wall, and it looked like it was either Howell or Crosby that tagged the wall. Crosby's going to get by for 7th position. Make him up 10 spots on the day so far. Started in 17th, up to 7th. Right now he's tied with where his best finish has been in this series. He's finished in 7th 5 previous times. Looking to possibly break the duck there as battle for the lead. Here we go. Daffin and Watchorn. Once again, Daffin this time to the inside lane. Weileman got loose behind him. Battle for the race lead. Again, this is first through third. They're 2 seconds ahead of Connor Morris, who is just outside of frame. Watchorn has the lane that you kind of want to be in, but Daffin said it, got it clear. Watchorn sailed it in a little bit too high there through 3 and 4. And now it's opened the door for Weileman to try to stick his nose in. That's the battle going on at the front. The fringe of the top 10 as they cross the line. Chris Howell sits just ahead of Kyle Smith. And just behind the 61 at James Thompson in 9th place. Kyle Dersham is in front of Thompson here in the 61. Dersham in the 93 went a lap down under that first caution of the race. There are a few cars not running here. John Ledger, 20th place. Last car running, I believe. Patrick Hernandez, I believe, is out of this race in 21st. So, quick return back and quick exit for the 19. This is at the fringe of the top 10. Looking at John Holliday in the 38. He is the last car on the lead lap at the moment, battling with the 25 of John Ledger, who is not on the lead lap. Ledger is, I believe, 5 laps down. Indeed, he is 5 laps down. There's Jack Stanley in 15th. He's behind John Buwalda Jr. from Baltimore, Maryland. Pretty close to being a home track for Buwalda and the number 5 machine. See Buwalda there for Fast Lane Racing. His best finish came 5th 3 times. As contact there between Bagent and Buwalda. Bagent struggling big time. Old tires and damage now, and the damage is very apparent on Bagent's number 36 machine for Agent Inc. Racing. Bagent was part of the second closest finish in ABN history at Formula Atlantics at Iowa on Tuesday. Iowa, a track often compared to Richmond. Oftentimes, you either find people that love Iowa or love Richmond. You're not going to find drivers that love both. And Bagent right now, kind of suffering from that sensation. Did well at Iowa, not doing so hot right now in Richmond. And really under threat there from Jack Stanley. Doug Betts in pit lane, number 3 car. He's on pit lane. Series rookie from Lakeland, Florida. Side of the old USA International Speedway. But he's going to come down pit lane. As the leaders go by, it's Staffen, then Watchorn, then Weileman, then Morris. Morris trying to defend from the defending series champion, Jacob Elkins, who's in the top 5. Elkins had a close call under that first caution, was right behind the incident with Brennan Gregg and Callie Bagent, one that ended up taking out the 3 of Doug Betts, who's back down pit lane. But Elkins survived it, got clear of it, and now sitting battling for the 4th spot. A little bit loose there for the number 9. Toyota's battling 4th and 5th. There's another Toyota in 6th. That's Brennan Gregg, who was involved in that incident. Good recovery from him for a Sit Racing team. Had to use his fast repair to make it happen, but he's made it happen. Up to 6th spot ahead of Dennis Crosby. Still the biggest gainer of this race. Still up 10 spots, and the only person hounding him is the 93 of Kyle Dersham. As Commentator's curse kind of chips in. Big time damage now on the number 22 as he tagged the wall out of turn 2. And for the back, Chris Howell, who has not yet pit in this race, one of 2 drivers that have not done so, and currently the best off of those 2. He sits in 8th ahead of Kyle Smith in the 9th position. Then you have James Thompson 10th, Brad Slagle in 11th, John Buwalda in 12th, Jack Stanley, Callie Bagent in 14th, John Holliday in 15th, Kyle Dersham, the first car, a lap down in 16th. Then Lilac Sear right behind Bagent, but a lap off the pace. In fact, Zier is going to go by here. Maurice Gamillion started 3rd, down 15 spots from where he started, and off the lead lap, 2 laps down for the 44 of Gamillion. As Zier and Bagent battle it out here. Doug Betts still on pit lane. There he is there. He's going to fall behind John Ledger. Front of the field, it is Merrick Watchorn trying to chase down Alec Daffin at his home track. Watchorn, 19 career wins. How satisfying would it be to get number 20 at home? John Holliday in pit lane. So his race goes from bad to worse pretty quickly. Callie Bajan about to go a lap down here. Did not pin on the first caution. Suffered damage on the restart. And now about to go a lap down. Riding on board with Merrick Watchorn here. You can hear how much he's feathering the throttle. Bajan gonna try to get out of the way here a little bit. Now the Daffin chasing onto the field here. This is James Thompson going a lap down. And that's how quick the pace difference is between 13th and the race lead. Back to Merrick Watchorn's on board here for laps at Richmond. And for everyone tuning in, working on something special, here's the schedule for the next week as we're on board with Watchorn. Tomorrow night we'll be at Daytona Road Course for the Volusia 110. Sunday we'll be at Richmond once again for the ARCS A-Square Cup Series. Monday we're at Daytona, the last race of the regular season there. Then we have Long Beach for Formula Atlantic. 4th week of action for that series, and then next Friday, TWIGI iRacing Series goes to Las Vegas. Gonna be a lot of fun. We are a quarter of the way through this race. Obviously, you see the sights here, everyone's spread out coming through. Lap 53 of 200, a quarter of the way through. It's Alec Daffin leading the way. Merrick Watchorn sitting in second. Brady Weileman sitting firmly in the 3rd position at the moment. No threat to the car behind. That is the battle for the 4th spot between Jacob Elkins, who has 4th place now, and Connor Morris, the 9 and the 09, battling for P4. Elkins takes 4th place away pretty firmly here. Morris going to try to battle it back with lap traffic in front of them. Brendan Gregg just behind them in 6th position. Then you see the gap between Brendan Gregg and Chris Howell, 8.5 seconds, just between 6th and 7th place. This is a track that it will thin out quickly. We had one caution on lap 17 for a multi-car crash that involved Doug Betts, Callie Bajan, Brennan Gregg, Kyle Smith, Kyle Dersham, But that's been the only caution so far in this event. It's seen 3 different race leaders. Chris Howell, Alec Daffin, the current race leader, and Merrick Watchorn, center of your screen, who led on that restart, taking it away from Chris Howell. 10 cars on the lead lap. Next car, who just went a lap down, John Bawada, Kyle Smith, is the next car to go a lap down here. A bit of no man's land as he battles with Dennis Crosby. But so far, so good for the 55, sitting in the 9th position. Sitting pretty cozy with a couple seconds between him and having to worry about the race leaders. In fact, here comes Kyle Smith, going to make a move on the 22 of Dennis Crosby, who still got damage on that right front when he tied the wall out of turn 2 several laps ago. Side by side for them as they battle for the 8th spot. This is what that battle looks like. Kyle Smith in the 55, Dennis Crosby in the 22, still battling side by side. Crosby had it at the line there. Kyle Smith will have it going into turn 1. Can he get clear of Crosby? No, he cannot. Little sideways there for the 22. Kyle Smith might have it in the send here through turn 3. He does not. Trying to drive smart here, the number 55 machine, the Thrustmaster machine. Crosby in the 22 on the outside. Battle of 2 Fords here. They're 2 of the highest running Fords in this field. Obviously, Daffin in the Chevrolet, Watchorn in the Toyota. Highest running Ford is that of Weileman in 3rd place. And you see Daffin now being held up big time. 3-lap cars, and these 2 battling so hard for position. Daffin's just going to have to let this one kind of play out a little bit. Kyle Smith, no stranger to this. Used to multi-class racing. And this is going to get really hairy really quick. Crosby not the biggest loser of all of that. Daffin drove it in really deep. Daffin not happy right now, and it's not helping him at all. He's going to get clear of Gamillion here, and he's going to send it on the inside of Kyle Smith, who's not going to let it sit him down. Kyle Smith knows that he's battling at this point just to try to stay the first car 1 lap down. If a caution comes out, get that free pass. He's battling with Dennis Crosby. Gamillion's on his lap. Watchorn's a lap ahead of him, or almost a lap ahead of him, as Crosby tagged the wall once again. Another shot to the wall outside turn 2 for Dennis Crosby. That 22 struggling mightily with turn 2. And now what Daffin was struggling with is now in Watchorn's hands. Watchorn struggling mightily with traffic. And this will allow a little bit of catch-up for Weileman, who was drifting well away from this. Weileman now sitting in 3rd, less than 3 seconds away from Watchorn. Doing a phenomenal job so far. Struggling still. That is the 61 of James Thompson, who's going to let the leaders go by a little bit here. Chris Howell, the next car to go a lap down here. Still several seconds before he has to deal with it, thanks to the reprieve given by that battle between Smith and Crosby. House was not pit yet. Neither has Callie Bajan. Those two have stayed out an extremely long time here. But it did not pay off in that restart. At least not for Bajan. It's kind of worked out for Hal. And it's given him an extra set of tires here for the end of this race if a caution comes out late for some reason. Trends say that's not going to be the case. But you never know. Play devil's advocate. That's how Watchorn won Phoenix, was through a late race caution. Late race caution during pit stops was what gave Watchorn the advantage at Phoenix and ultimately really helped spur on his win streak. And Chris Howell in 7th place, trying to chase down what is the battle for 6th place, but he's doing it on older tires than anybody else. Battle for 4th going on right now. It's a 3-car battle. Morris, Elkins, and Greg. These three have been battling since the restart. Almost 60 laps ago. Watchorn finally got clear of the lap traffic for the most part. Only his teammate in front of him now, but it cost him almost a second and a half to Alec Daffin in the process. Obviously, Watchorn not really fussed about it right now, but you look at the likes of Daffin, who's been on this run, obviously finished on the podium at Sonoma last week. You don't want to give Daffin or anybody free points. For Gamillion, this is worst case scenario. Gamillion's down in the 18th position. You enter this race 6th in points. Reminder to those that are watching, this is one of the few stock car series that we broadcast that do not have a chase system at all. There's 36 races, and it's the person with the most points at the end of the season is the champion. There's no chase, there's no playoffs, there's no when you're in. There's none of that here. It's very traditional. There's no stages. You race it out. You race it out the race distance. If you have a green white checker, it's cool, whatever. But it's very much go for it. This is... You're slugging it out for an hour, hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. And the best person standing at the end of the season is the champion. Watchorn entered this race with 128 points over Brennan Gregg, 175 points over Alec Daffin. And again, we're talking about points. It's race 7 of 36. Why is points so important? Because you'll be able at the end of the season to kind of walk back and look at this race like, how many points did I give up here? How many points was I fighting for here? Still very, very, very intangible to be able to sit and look at this, especially when you're looking at the likes of championship points, right? Unique point system in play here. First place awards 85 points. This is before bonus points. Race points award 85 points. Then it's 80 points for second. So there's a 5-point gap there. Bonus points, right now, most of them lie in the hands of Alec Daffin. So that's an 11-point swing. And you don't want to have too many of those races, especially for Watchorn, whose main mission this season has been to get another championship. He won the championship in 2021. He wants it again in 2022. Races like this could become critical, especially when you come back to Richmond later in the season. What can you learn here? Obviously, if you go to Las Vegas next week, that'll be right back into Watchorn's alley. But then this calendar gets a lot more difficult after Vegas next week. You look at Martinsville, you look at Darlington, you look at Watkins Glen. Those 3 weeks going to be pivotal in setting up momentum and setting up elevation for what you're going to be seeing going into the summer. Talladega kicks off the month of May. Then they go to Indianapolis. Then they have the All-Star race at Atlanta. You have Charlotte on the 26th of May. It gets very, very difficult going into the summer. Very important to make sure that you have all of this stuff checked off. Washburn now sitting in second, and it's a distant second. Gonna need a little bit of help trying to claw this one back in the second half of this race. We're approaching the halfway point. We're on lap 86 of 200. Seeing James Thompson go out in the 61. Thompson pit lap 76. So, he's got a little bit of time. Pit strategy, we'll pull it up. Everyone in the top 8 on the same strategy here. Everyone pit on lap 17. So everyone will be pitting about the same time in the top 8. You look at Chris Howell, who just pit on lap 77. His first pit stop, 77 laps into this race. Leaves in 13th. We'll see where he sits. Obviously, we're looking here for the 88 of Chris Howell. He pit on lap 77. We'll see how long everyone else goes. Everyone else, if 77 laps is the gap here, and then everyone should be pitting here soon, within about 7-8 laps time. 7 to 9 laps, I should say. So Chris Howell trying to make up some of that time. So looking at the numbers, the numbers, what do they mean? It means that we've got at least one pit stop for everybody after this pit stop cycle triggers here. This pit stop cycle is going to trigger about lap 94 to lap 97. And obviously you're not making it another 103 laps. You have to make another pit stop. Everyone's in the same boat. It's just a matter of when that last stop kicks in after we go through this large green flag pit stop cycle here in a few laps. Dennis Crosby in. Kyle Smith is in. They know there's a 2-stop strategy in play to finish this race. You can play around with it a little bit. Their objective at this point, make the lap 150. Have a 50-lap run to the finish. And they should be able to do that. That'd be within 60 laps. So they should be able to do that and kind of keep the tires from completely cliffing before that second pit stop hits. For Daffin, Watchorn, Weileman, Gregg, Morrison, Elkins, those 6 cars on the lead lap, there's no incentive for them to come in early, to stretch it out, run based on fuel, and let it go. They've been top 6 all race long so far, even for Brennan Gregg, who had to recover from damage on that first pit stop all the way back in lap 17. Doing a phenomenal job. Looking at Weileman in 3rd place. Had a podium last time out at Sonoma. Looking for another podium here tonight. Finished 2nd at Sonoma last week. That's his career best finish in this series. Looking to add on to it. What a way to do so. Brennan Gregg in the 4th position, up 3 spots from where he started. Car looking pretty good, kept it out of the wall. We've seen a lot of drivers struggle with older tires, and you look a little bit further back, and that is the mess of cars. That's John Ledger, Connor Morris. There's a lot of cars in this mix, and cars on fresh tires, cars not on fresh tires. Chris Howell's on fresh tires, Kyle Smith on fresh tires in the 55. It gets hairy here. It gets hairy quickly here at Richmond. Especially with the pit window and overlap as wide as it is right now because of those that did not pit or those that have pit early. A very wide overlap here. Also important to note, I believe Daffin may have only took 2 tires on his first stop on lap 17. Daffin's pit stop was a 14.6. Daffin's up to 14.6. Merrick Watchorn's was a 9.8 second lap time. Or 9.8 second pit stop time. Which indicates to me either it was a fuel-only stop or a two-tire stop. And I want to say I'm leaning closer to a two-tire stop there. But Watchorn did not take 4 tires, unlike Daffin and Weileman and just about everybody that pit on that lap. That's how he got the race lead to begin with, was he got that jump on Daffin and then took advantage of the positioning. But it's also explaining a little bit why Daffin is walking away the way he is, because Daffin has a 5.3 second lead at the moment, but he took 4 fresh tires on that lap. So Watchorn's left side tires, I'm assuming he took the right sides on his pit stop. If that's the case, then his left side tires, they're pushing 100 laps here. They're going half the race here on those left sides. So he's got to be feeling it, and it's not friendly. When the left sides are what wears the most, obviously the right side tires will wear quicker. But 17 laps, that's enough for the left side tires to still be the most worn set of tires, or the most worn side at this point in the race, and that creates a lot of understeer. A lot of understeer, and that's not something you want here at Richmond. Obviously, we see drivers struggling with that enough with tagging the inside wall. Dennis Crosby, obviously you look at Callie Bajan, you look at drivers Jack Stanley, John Buwalda, Doug Betts. Those drivers have already had incidents with the outside lane because of understeer as Kyle Smith goes by trying to get a lap back here. Now he's got to chase down that of Alec Daffin. That was, excuse me, not Kyle Smith, that was Brad Slagle. Similar color scheme, but different cars there. The 052 is Slagle. As trouble for Bajan. And caution's going to come out here. Bajan lost it a little bit, and that bails out the top 6 who had not yet pit in this race. Now they get a free pit stop. They get a free pit stop that was coming just in the nick of time. And Bajan, who did not come to pit lane to take that fast repair. I wonder if she took that fast repair on her first pit stop. She had to have. She had to have taken that pit stop. She had to have taken that fast repair on her pit stop on lap 80. Here's what happens, and this is in fact the case. No, Bajan may not have. Still damage on that right side. Just tags the wall. And trouble for the 36 there. Brings out the caution. Not a fun time there for Bajan, who is a lap down here. So, Merrick Watchorn in pit lane. Again, free pit stops for the top 6, who had not pit yet. Daffin keeps hold of the race lead. Watchorn took 4 fresh tires as he needed to. Chris Howell, lucky dog for him, the number 88. He'll restart the end of this field. But, lucky dog, 7th place for Chris Howell is where we'll end up starting this race from. And he's going to take a pit stop here, get himself back on cycle, and see what he can do in the number 88 machine. So 7 cars on the lead lap at the moment, and most of the field came in here. So there'll only be 7 cars on the lead lap on this restart. Everyone taking the chance to get some fresh tires and hope that chaos kind of storms and brews up here. Callie Bajan coming out of pit lane. Is Bajan still okay in that number 36 machine? There's the fast repair that she took. So she held on to it for a good reason. Got halfway through this race before needing it. But now the 36, albeit 14th and off the lead lap, back to full health. So that's an important deal. Three cars out of this race. It is Hernandez, Betts, and Holiday out of this race. 18 cars still running. Again, 7 cars on the lead lap. Chris Howell was the free pass. So he will drop to the end of the field here. We'll start at the very tail end. That's the rules for the free pass positions. The way it works, lead lap cars, lap down cars, free pass, and any wave rounds go to the end of the field on the inside lane. And that's where Chris Howell's going to find himself. Good job so far, though. Second caution of the night came on lap 99. We're on lap 106. It's Daffin, Watchorn, Weileman, Gregg, Morris, Elkins, Howell. Top 7. Dersham, first car off the lead lap. Buwalda in 9th. Jack Stanley, top 10 right now for him. Green flag is in the air. And away we go. Way better start there for Daffin than Watchorn. Restart zone very much favors the race leader, especially if you sort of game it up a little bit. Weileman tried to send it into turn 2, or through turns 1 and 2, did not make it stick, and now under threat from Connor Morris, who has fresh tires as well. Insert the madness here at Richmond, lap 108. And everyone in the really tidily kind of broke up the way they were, and that's not going to be the case. As we look a little bit further on down, that is Jack Stanley that was around. No idea if he got into the wall, but that is Jack Stanley, who has had trouble. Not his debut by any means. But here's what happened to him as he spins once again. Just a little bit too much into it. A little too much mustard on it. And not sure if it was rear braking that got him slid up or what, but it's kind of a half spin, throws caution number 3 on the night. And that allows, if I'm not mistaken, Kyle Dersham will get lap back here. So that'll be 8 cars on the lead lap. Look to see Kyle Dersham there in the number 93. Another Ohio native alongside that of Jacob Elkins. He should beat Lucky Dog here. And that's going to be the case. Lucky Dog position, free pass for Kyle Dersham, number 93. Puts him back on the lead lap. So cautions in quick succession here. Kind of bails out a few drivers. James Thompson had a technical failure in the number 61. If he's trying to get back into this race, it kind of bails him out a little bit. But right now he's classified 18th position. We're going to rack him up and try again here. Again, while we're under caution here, again, this is what it looks like, our scheduling for the next week, tomorrow night. It's the Volusia 110 from Daytona Road Course for the Saturday Night Showdown. Sponsored by Moomoo's Barbecue. ARCs this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Sunday, Darkside Mustangs A-Square Cup Series. Right back here in Richmond. It's the Rock and Roll 200 there for the A-Square Cup Series. Monday night, the regular season finale for the HTL Cup Series. Firecracker 200. Phenomenal race. Got some fun news to kind of break on Monday morning regarding that event, but it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of action-packed racing on Monday evening. Tuesday, Formula Atlantic for ABM goes to its first road course of the season at Long Beach, and then next Friday, TWIGI iRacing Series comes back once again, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. But that's what it looks like there, the next week of action. As we get ready to go back to green, I believe we're coming to 1 to green here. Daffin chose the outside lane, Watcher chose the inside lane, just like they did last caution on the last restart there. Wildman and Morris sitting in the second row. Morris got third position from Weileman on that last restart. But now Weileman's in a good position to try to make something happen again. Weileman just a little bit too aggressive on that restart. Lost out on a position trying to go after second with Watchorn. Row 3, Brennan Gregg, Jacob Elkins. Chris Howell got lucky dog last caution. Now he's starting with the leaders here on this third restart of the race. John Bellotta in the free pass position now. He sits 9th. Kyle Smith in 10th. Green flag. Back out and away we go. That's a car in the wall. I'm not sure who that is. It may have been. That could have been the 22 of Crosby. But here we are, still rolling. Watchorn holds on to the second spot, but Daffin holds on to the race lead. Weileman on the outside lane really worked together with his teammate there to try to game that restart, and it got him back into third spot. Obviously, Weileman going to try to hound Watchorn as much as he can. Couldn't really do much with Watchorn when Watchorn had 2 old tires. We'd love to see what's going to happen here with Watchorn now on 4 fresh tires compared to the rest of the field. A little bit further back, Jacob Elkins, the defending series champion, in 5th place. Toyotas abound for them in the top 6. Daffin in a Chevrolet, Weileman in a Ford. Toyota's the prevalent car in the top 5. Brennan Gregg in 6th position, Chris Howell in 7th, Kyle Dersham in the 8th spot. On the lead lap and slowly working his way through traffic here. Everyone's still on a 1 pit stop strategy to get through the rest of this race. Right now, so far, so good at the front of the field. Watchorn on to Daffin. Beginning to shape up a little bit like how Phoenix shaped up. Tag of the wall there. I think that was Greg? I don't know if it was Greg or not Daffin, but Elkins that tagged the wall. Chris Howell sitting in 7th position. We're right on board with him for a second. See how he's doing here. Average Joe Motorsports, number 88. So far, so good for him. You see how much you're working the wheel here, how much you're working the throttle, a lot of the precision that's needed. Doing a phenomenal job. Recovered nicely. Started in 6th, down in 7th at the moment, but it was a lot worse from there for a while. But now he's involved in this battle for 4th place. Been a phenomenal battle so far, just aside the podium spots. Watchorn's once again pulled away from Brady Weileman, holding on to that of Alec Daffin as Millions around. And we'll see if he can get rolling here without causing a caution. That's going to be very difficult to do. Again, Maurice Gamillion. He's going to try to get rolling here. Oh, it's going to be trouble. Caution's out. He was trying to roll around, but couldn't really get it positioned. So caution number 4 is going to come out there. And it looks like a pretty simple half spin there. So this is kind of what happened here. Looking at Cali Bajan, because Cali Bajan was the first one to go by him. But Gamillion, does he get tagged going around? Bajan sends it to the inside. Gamillion still on the outside. Little contact. Looks like there may be a little bit more to this. Because Gamillion will pass Bajan back here. Interesting. Most of the field coming down pit lane here, it looks like. Daffin came down. Watchorn came down. Smith gets a little bit loose here. Again, we're watching this over really the span of several laps. We'll fast forward here, because this was a couple laps after that. And that was the contact. And there's Gamillion going around with the help of Zier. So that's why Gamillion went around the way he did. Now I see a little bit of latency there for Gamillion. And now obviously that's when we pick him up, already sitting on the inside lane. So it was a back and forth between Bajan and Gamillion that sees Bajan kind of push Gamillion wide, and then Gamillion spins off of that. And then obviously his rejoin, or his attempt to rejoin safely, was not quick enough to avoid the 4th caution of this race being thrown. So Daffin holds on to the race lead, but a lot of leaders have pit here on lap 127. We're on lap 129 now, but under this caution, all the race leaders are pit. John Buwalda was the free pass position, so he'll be back on lead lap here. Very interesting how this race has developed here. 4th caution of the race. 9 cars now on the lead lap. Like Zier, the next car off the lead lap in the free pass position. Remember, Zier started this race in 20th spot. Did not get to set a good qualifying time and struggled mightily early on in this race. Went a lap down early. Now in a position to potentially get a lap back in the number 89 machine at a track that she loves quite a bit. One of her more favored short ovals here. So keep an eye on the number 89. If another caution comes out, she'll be back on lead lap in the top 10. And she could be a threat for that top 5. Don't count her out. Jack Stanley in 11th place, also a lap down. Then you look at cars 2 laps down, 3 laps down. It gets a little bit more spaced out as we go along. 4 cars out of this race. Thompson, Holiday, Betts, and Hernandez out of this race. And a lot of the field trying to get, it looks like a few cars trying to get wave around here. It looks like that is Jack Stanley trying to get a wave around here, as well as that is John Ledger. And I believe that was Lilac Zier. So Lilac Zier ends up being the first car lap down. So Zier and Stanley will have a direct battle for that free pass position on this restart. But here's the field as we go through turn 2. Daffin, Watchorn, Weileman, Morris, top 4. Green flag back in the air. 4th restart of the race. Again, it's a 2-on-1 battle between Watchorn Motorsports and Summit Esports here. Weileman's got the inside lane, but he's been pretty well covered up by Watchorn all race long. Despite how much the Daffin's been trying to help him on these restarts, Weileman finally gets clear of him, but immediately overdrives turn 1 and 2 and gives Watchorn the inside lane to fight back, and he'll take it and get clear. And now Morris is going to be a threat for Weileman. Weileman had it for a brief moment and then overdrove it and immediately gave it right back. And now Connor Morris fighting for position. Connor Morris looking to the inside of Weileman. Going to continuously hound that 51 car. Not going to get it this time. Connor Morris in that 4th spot. Is out on the 4th most of the race, but now he's once again dealing with the defending series champion and Jacob Elkins. Morris, Elkins, a little bit of chrome horn action going on between the 9 and the 09. Brennan Gregg in 6th, Chris Howell in 7th, Dersham and Buwalda last cars on the lead lap. 17 cars still running in this race. Little tag of the wall there by Elkins, a little kiss on the wall by that number 9 Toyota as he tries the battle for the 4th spot. Elkins would love to have a chance to go after Weileman in the number 51. Would love to be able to help his teammate out a little bit. But he's been not able to get clear of that number 9 of the 09 of Morris and stay clear. Brennan Gregg in the 6th position, number 18 for Ascent Racing Team. A lot of teams racing a little bit undermanned here. There's no Eli Sasek for Ascent Racing Team. There's no Alex Martin for Agent Inc. Racing. And there's no JW Motorsports team tonight. You'd be looking at the likes of James Wurtsema, who's not present tonight. No Team IEL with Jernigan or Thomas Lane. So a lot of teams kind of racing either undermanned or not at all tonight. Obviously, Las Vegas next week. We expect a lot of those teams to come back, but you see drivers like Morris, like Gray, like Elkins scrambling to kind of make advantage of those free points as they come. But this is, again, the battle for the 4th spot. That includes Connor Morris, Jacob Elkins, Brennan Gregg, Chris Howell, and number 88. Kyle Dersham's in this mix as well. Don't forget about Kyle Smith, who's not in this battle, but sits in 12th, 2 laps down. If things get hectic and he can stay clean, he can get back on the lead lap using free pass and make some magic happen in the number 55 machine. There's Kyle Smith there, turn 3 Esports. Finished 4th at Daytona. That's been his best finish so far in this series. Despite only really having one top 5 finish, Kyle Smith sits in, I believe he sits 3rd place in points. He's either 3rd or 2nd. Him and Brennan Gregg are top 3 in points because they've been to every race so far and they've been consistent and been a consistent threat in the top 10. And Kyle Smith's no slouch. But you're looking at this battle here for the 4th and 5th and 6th spots. Brennan Gregg now challenging that of Jacob Elkins. Elkins on the top lane has a little bit of the advantage, you would assume. But Brennan Gregg making that inside line work to try to make up some time and make up some, hopefully, a position here if that's his case. And Chris Howell trying to kind of act like a vulture and pick up the pieces if something should go wrong. Front of the field. Merrick Watchorn still chasing after the race leader, Alec Daffin. Daffin in the race lead, Watchorn 2nd, Weileman in 3rd. Likewise, Lalexir in the free pass position, 1 lap down. from the race lead, still very much in contention to get that free pass and get back on the lead lap, but really on an island by herself, and that's not the worst thing in the world for Lilac Sear. One, I think that she'd be pretty okay with that. Right now, looking at the 48 of Daffin, the 91 of Watchorn leading this race. Battle for the race lead, 7/10 apart here as we approach the three-quarter stage. Elkins still trying to... Really, at this point, he's lost touch with Connor Morris as he's battled with Brendan Gregg. Gregg's been hounding that number 9 machine for the last several laps, and Chris Howell would love to kind of have that settle so he can kind of have his turn. In fact, he's going to peek to the outside, try to drive on the outside, try to build some momentum up to make an attack here, but it's not really going to work out that way. Drove a little bit too high up and had to get off of it a little bit. John Bawada on his own in 9th place. Last car on the lead lap. Sits 12.7 seconds away from the race leader. Lilac Sear just behind them. She's sitting in the top 10 at the moment, not doing too awful bad, considering she started this race at the very tail end of the field. We're 3/4 of the way through, 50 laps to go here at Richmond. Mark Watchorn sits in 2nd place, Brady Wildman in 3rd, and you still see Connor Morris, Jacob Elkins, and Brendan Gregg still battling for that 5th spot. Kind of lets you kind of zoom out and see how really kind of spaced out it is. You see a cluster of 6, 7 cars, but then it kind of spreads out a little bit. For the drivers in the series, they're kind of thankful that this was a smaller field, because Richmond with 36, 40 cars like what we typically see would be a handful. But this is where we stand at the moment. We're going to step aside for a commentator break. We're going to be back in just a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. We're going to stay live and cover you all the way to the end here, but taking a commentary break to kind of get a refill on water and get situated for these last 40 laps coming up. Welcome back, everybody. Coming to about 30 laps to go. Gap between the two race leaders is 9/10, almost a second between Daffin and Watchorn as they deal with lap traffic. Battle for the top 5 between Chris Howell and Jacob Elkins, the defending series champion in the 9. Chris Howell in the 88. Trying to battle with Brennan Gregg behind them. Howell beginning to make his moves here in this race. We are good to go to the end of this race, I believe, for just about everybody on the lead lap. Kind of just bringing up the pit strategy timers here. Daffin, Watchorn, Weileman, Morris, Elkins, Gregg, and Dersham all went 85 laps on that giant green flag run. And that was spearheaded by a caution, so it could probably have gone a couple laps longer here. So 85 laps, you see they pit on lap 127, so they could theoretically get to the end of this race. But right now, that's kind of how it looks like right now. It looks pretty even. Trouble! Howe and Elkins in the wall hard. Trouble at the front of the field. Battling for the top 5. Elkins and Howell in the wall. And Chris Howell stuck in the safer barrier. Hard contact between the 9 and the 88. Battling for the top 5. And both of them lose out. Massive contact and damage for both Elkins and Howell. And Howell's race effectively brought to an end with 30 laps to go. And this is shaping up exactly the way Phoenix did. Leaders have coming down pit lane now. We'll take a replay. We'll take a look at it here. When we take a look here after this pit stop, because this could be mission critical to the field. Daffin, does he take 4 tires or not? With less than 30 to go, you'd assume probably not. You don't want to lose a position. Watchorn takes 4. Daffin beats Watchorn out just a little bit. I'm surprised that Watchorn did not go for 2 tires there. But mission critical here. They're not saving tires at the end of this race. But that was the race off pit lane. Daffin, Watchorn, Weileman, Morris, Gregg, Dersham, Zier now on the lead lap. Did not pit under that once she got the lucky dog, the free pass position here. She may come down pit lane this time. Or she may stay out. No, she comes down pit lane here. All right. So here's what happened. This is coming out of turn 4. This is the battle that we see here. It looks like a little bit of netcode there. Drew a lot of the contact. And for Chris Howell, it was all over but the crying. On board them. And this is going to get violent. Tags the wall and gets immediately stuck. Gets ramped over by Jacob Elkins there. You saw the 9 go over him. And the 9 bounced off the catch fencing while Howell had to kind of sit and unfortunately not go anywhere. So Weileman sits in 3rd spot. Watchorn in 2nd. Daffin in the race lead. Lilac Zier took her pit stop. She'll be 9th place on this restart. And Chris Howell's race is effectively over. Coming to 25 laps to go. So Zero dropped to the back of the field. Free pass recipient will start at the very tail end of the longest line, which is almost always the inside lane. As we get ready to go back racing here, 24 laps to go when we go green. This could be shaping up to be one of those interesting race finishes that we see pretty often here in Twiggy. Gonna be a fun one. Nine cars on the lead lap. Daffin, Watchorn, Weileman, Morris, Gregg, Dersham, Elkins, Bawada, Zier, 9 cars on the lead lap. Not a great restart by Watchorn. Gonna make life a little bit difficult for the number 91. Little loose there for the 91 of Watchorn. Does he send on the 51? Does not. Holds back a little bit. 23 laps to go. The laps will tick down quickly. 3 laps a minute. That's the reminder there. So we're less than 8 minutes away, theoretically, from the finish of this race. Watchorn to the inside of Weileman. Weileman stays on the very far outside lane, while Watchorn tries to get clear and will get clear. And keep an eye on that 09 Connor Morris. Broke away from that battle with Elkins and Gregg under that last green flag run. Gonna try to be a threat to Weileman. Weileman would love to hold on to this podium spot, but Morris would like his first podium in this series. And Weileman deep under threat now. All the space that we saw being given early on in this race, that's gone. It's gone now. Gonna be elbows out from here to the finish. Weileman's still holding on to that 3rd spot, but Connor Morris is challenging him tooth and nail for that position. Watchorn's got to somehow reel in 0.8 of a second to get back to Daffin with 19 laps remaining in this race. And that is a lot easier said than done. Watchorn maybe overdriving it a little bit. Whoa, almost contact. It might have actually been contact between Morris and Weileman. And it threw Morris well off course. Down to back once again to 4th. Had 3rd for a moment, but could not hold on to it. And now Brendan Gregg stands to be a looming threat for that 09. Zier has gotten ahead of John Bawada. So the 89 up to 8th place, up 12 spots. Biggest gainer so far in this race. Alec Daffin leads the way. The gap is still 0.8. Watchorn's not really making any inroads. He's not really losing a whole lot either. He's gaining on Weileman, who has still got a mirror full of that 09, but with 16 laps to go, needs to be making some considerable inroads here. "15 laps to go." Connor Morris sitting in the 4th position. Brendan Gregg in 5th. Kyle Dersham and Jacob Elkins battling for the 6th spot. They were side by side, almost door to door. And you could not put a piece of paper between them. Trouble, Dersham in the wall. As was, I believe, that may have been the 18 of Brendan Gregg that tagged the wall too. And that was Brendan Gregg. You see the damage on that right side of the 18. Dersham overdrove it, and now not only has he lost position to Elkins, but he's also lost track position to the 55 of Kyle Smith, who remains, I believe, 2 laps down here. Brendan Gregg tags the wall again. So Kyle Smith kind of racing for what he can. Top 10 for him at the moment. So could be a lot worse for the 55 machine. But for Dersham, a tag of the wall has put him well behind the 8 ball and now under threat of potentially having more issues in these last 13 laps. Battle for third beginning the battle for fourth, excuse me, beginning to heat up between Morris and Greg. Coming to 12 to go here. Gaps close a little bit at the front. It's now 7/10. But Watchorn needs to gain a little bit quicker here. He needs to gain, and then he's going to have to probably use a little bit of the bumper to try to get around the 848 of Daffin. Could be one of them classic finishes here at Richmond. Still 7/10, 11 to go. Again, we're watching the battle for fourth between Morris and Greg. This is a 4/10 difference between these two. And Greg is coming quickly. This is the battle for what is effectively for third. Weileman just a little up the road here. But you're looking at this battle mostly between Morris and Greg, the main competitors here. $16 cars still running in this race, coming to 9 laps to go. You see that gap? It's again fluctuated back up to about 0.8 of a second. Looking at Watchorn trying to close that gap in, coming to 7 laps to go. Almost to the point where he needs to gain 1/10 per lap to close in and get to the bumper of Alec Daffin. And Daffin just had the better of him all day. Daffin's best lap almost 1/10 faster than Watchorn's. And they've been near identical on the lap charts. Daffin just 100th quicker lap after lap. Coming to 6 laps to go. Still anything possible, such as a late race caution that would throw this race on its head. And if it does happen, there's a chance it could come from this group here. 2/10 separating Morris from Greg, with Elkins in pursuit. Almost a little bit of contact there between Morris and Greg. As they drive pretty hard here for bound for the 4th spot. Watch out, Connor Morris. As I said, if a caution comes out, it could come from this group here. Been a lot of tough driving so far, but in this group, battling for that 4th spot. And it is these three, once again, battling for the 4th spot. Elkins again in pursuit. In that 6th position, the number 9. Battle for the 4th position here. 3 laps to go. Oh, watch out! Contact between Greg and Morris. With 3 laps to go. Coming to 2 laps to go here. Morris almost lost it. Now he's got to deal with Elkins again. Race leader is coming to the white flag this time. Alec Daffin takes the white flag. Merrick Watchorn sitting in the 2nd position. Coming to the checkered flag. Alec Daffin's finally going to get the best of Merrick Watchorn in an oval. Alec Daffin will win at Richmond. Merrick Watchorn finishing second. Brady Weileman will round out the podium here. And then Brennan Gregg, Connor Morris, and Jacob Elkins round out the top 6. Kyle Dersham finishes 7th, and Kyle Smith wrecks across the line in 10th place. Lilac Zier finishes 8th ahead of John Bullotta Jr., who is the last car on the lead lap. Alec Daffin, the race winner. Merrick Watchorn, at his home track for the first time this season, pulls it in for a podium. We'll hear from Watchorn and Weileman here in just a moment. But for Merrick Watchorn, second place for him, avoids what could be a minimizes any losses there for Watchorn. Weileman, another podium for him. We're going to hear from at least some of our podium finishers here this evening. We'll start with, will be the 51 of Brady Weileman here. Brady, this is Carmen from the ABN booth. You got a copy?
Yep.
Alrighty, Brady. Well, it's back-to-back podiums here. Obviously, podium last week at Sonoma. Finished second last week. Finished third here tonight. Obviously, Alec got the race win, so another double podium here for Summit Esports. But can I just walk through that race? It seemed like you were pretty set and confirmed there in third place, even when there was pressure on you.
Yeah, honestly, very happy with where I finished. Obviously, didn't think I was going to do good here. I kind of found a rhythm halfway through the race where I was able to keep up with the same pace as Alec and Merrick, but wasn't able to stay with them. I was able to keep the same lap times going. We were basically the class of the field the whole race, and yeah, it was fun.
Obviously, we've seen how these short ovals have been. Obviously, we had a little bit more chaos tonight than we had. Obviously, you look at Iowa, for example. But still, having a smaller field than what we typically do, it kind of helps spread things out. How easy was it to kind of get into a rhythm? Obviously, you talk about you three being the class of the field, and that was that way from practice going into qualifying. It was you three really kind of ahead of the way. But how easy was it to get into that rhythm and get into that vibe?
Oh, well, it was normally, I got into my rhythm like 5 laps after the restart, because it was, that's when everything settles down and you're able to, fall in line and actually run your laps. Yeah, it's kind of when I found my rhythm. It was just like sitting there after the restart.
You've built up a lot of momentum here. Obviously, second place again at Sonoma last week. Third place tonight. Your best finishes in this series so far. We go to Las Vegas next week. With the momentum in hand, how much better do you kind of feel on making that push and climbing through the points and try to chip away at what Merrick Watchorn's built up with the first 6 weeks?
Well, I think Alec and I are definitely gonna show our speed at Las Vegas. I know Vegas is one of my stronger tracks. I like Vegas. Well, we'll see. I'm just happy to not get wrecked these past 2 races. Hopefully that continues. We'll definitely have a shot at the win. Hopefully at Vegas. Yeah.
Well, before we let you go tonight, obviously another podium here. If there's anyone to shout out and say thank you to, Brady, the floor is yours. Congratulations on another incredible third place tonight.
Thank you. I definitely want to congratulate my teammate Alec on the win. I want to thank him for joining my team. I think it was after the second race or third race. I think it was after Phoenix, actually. I want to thank Merrick for running the league again. I want to thank you for commentating, and I want to thank my parents for watching.
Well, Brady, again, another podium, 2 weeks in a row for you going into Las Vegas. Starting to feel lucky. Let's see if that checks out next week in the gambling state.
All right, thank you.
That was Brady Wildman, third place finisher here tonight. Next on the list, we're going to talk to 19-time race winner, the home track driver himself, Merrick Watcher, in second place tonight for him. Merrick, this is Carmen from the ABM booth. You got a copy?
Got a good copy.
All righty. It was you, Daffin, and Wildman class of the field tonight. Obviously, just a little bit shy this evening, but an incredible first 7 races of the season here going through Richmond. Can I just walk through your race and kind of what you kind of learned from tonight? Because I believe you go to Richmond again later this season. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. We do. Yeah, we do. Race 31 in September. So we come back here later this season, but a lot of short tracks between here and there. What did you kind of learn tonight to kind of put in your back pocket?
Honestly, the only thing I took from it is those brakes are going to be really important. You know, tires are going to be key. Track position is going to be key. I kind of did some, some little strategy there when we first took the first caution around like lap 17 or 18. I took right sides, and I wasn't really falling off of Alex's pace too much. I just needed more, just more brakes. And just figuring out what works best for me. I'm probably going to be messing with my steering ratio. I just felt too loose coming off of exit most of the time, so it might have been just the track temperature, or just something with the car, or it could have been offset. It just felt off to me all night. But hey, finishing second, not going to complain. Congratulations for Alec. He finally got a win, and he's coming up, trying to challenge me for the championship. So hey, all to him, and hopefully we can get going and have some more fun.
Obviously, this was technically your home race. Still a bit of a far cry away from where your hometown is, but still technically your home race. Being able to put a result here, obviously, a lot of drivers talk about like home races. It means a lot to them to have a result like this. For you, did that kind of cross your mind at all going into the night, or was it just business as usual?
Business as usual, honestly. I mean, I'm disappointed with the pace I had. I mean, Alec really outclassed me tonight. I didn't really think too much of it. I just like, well, let's see if I can catch him on the long run, and he's been really working on that long run speed. So business as usual. Just try to stay out of trouble as best as I can. Almost killed this 55 there of Kyle's. I didn't mean to give him a little shot there going 1 and 2, but unfortunately. And I cooked it too much, and I realized how much brakes were important there. So it's one of those things.
Obviously, tonight was a big night for you. Second place, obviously, on top of your 4 wins this season. Still looking for career win number 20 on the season. Las Vegas next week might be right up your wheelhouse. We've seen how you've been able to perform, obviously, at Atlanta and tracks of that nature. Going into Las Vegas next week, how confident are you that you'll be able to kind of get back on the top set and go after race for number 20?
It's honestly going to depend on how well the draft model works. My biggest issue is, even though I got the pole right from tonight's race, that outside line, just if you don't get to start on the outside, unfortunately we don't do that in this league. Maybe next year we'll talk about it with the guys and admins and see if we can just give the leader lane choice for next year. But nah, it's just when Alex started on my outside, Alex was just as fast as me, if not faster, and he was able to hold me up, and I just could not get the rotation the way I needed to. And unfortunately, just next week with Las Vegas, it's gonna be kind of like a draft pack. I mean, to me, with the trucks, it's like a mini Daytona, so hopefully it's not like that with the Xfinity car. But I think we're gonna be rim walling in 3 and 4, and then ripping the bottom in 1 and 2. So it'll be interesting to see what we can do. But just staying out of trouble, finishing top 5, as much as I want to win, being consistent with the points all year long is going to be more important than getting DNFs and, finishing outside the top 10. So really and honestly, just the bread and butter is just focusing on that and moving forward.
Obviously tonight, a good night. Obviously, you minimize damage at Sonoma, got a top 5 there, get another podium here tonight at Richmond, going into Las Vegas next week. Before I let you go, it will see his first race since Daytona that your entire team was here. But is there anyone you shout out and say thank you to? Merrick, the floor is yours. Congrats on another amazing podium.
Thank you. I just want to shout out to the Watcher Innovations Group Incorporated, the QSA, Capture the Occasion, my teammates. I'm so glad to have Patrick back. It was actually kind of surprised. Patrick said he'll be gone another week, and he kind of surprised us tonight, so it was kind of nice. He was a little frustrated with the car. He didn't have a lot of practice, so unfortunately that's just the situation at hand. I'm gonna have to yell at him and say, hey, go practice numbnuts, and just go forward from there. But I just want to thank everyone for coming out and whatnot. I appreciate all the drivers throughout the whole last 8 weeks. A lot of different characters, a lot of different things to handle, and I just want to thank the league for coming out and showing up every time and dominating and doing what they do best, and that's race clean and give you a fantastic product. I also want to thank you guys from the ABN network team from picking us up and being with us, and hopefully I can bring you a W in HTL sometime. So let's move forward and enjoy my time. Thanks, Carmen.
Absolutely. Again, Merrick, congratulations on second place. We'll be seeing you Monday night at Daytona for HTL, and we'll be seeing you next Friday as well for Las Vegas.
Copy that. See you then.
See ya. That was Merrick Watchorn, second place finisher here tonight. Obviously, home race, but very optimistic about keeping that consistency up. Obviously, he's had it these last 6 weeks. No finish worse than 5th, 4 race wins, and another podium here tonight. Fantastic race for him. Again, this is what everyone was dealing with. 3/4 mile oval, and the track temp did not really change too awful much. Everyone was able to kind of deal with the stability, and it worked out phenomenally. Race results here. Alec Daffin, first race win of the season. Merrick Watchorn in the second position, keeping himself pretty well on afloat here. Brady Wildman sitting in third place. Brendan Gregg in fourth, and Connor Morris rounding out with a top 5. Jacob Elkins sitting in sixth ahead of Kyle Dersham, Lilac Sear, John Bawada, and Kyle Smith rounding out the top 10. Jack Stanley, Callie Bajent, they were the top 12. Bajent having to recover from a couple incidents here in this race. Maurice Gamillion started in the top 4. Could not capitalize on it, finished down in 13th. Dennis Crosby in 14th, and Brad Slagle, John Ledger, Chris Howell, and James Thompson round out the top 18. 3 drivers after that on the list, and it's a little bit further down. John Holliday, 19th, retired early, as did James Thompson. They both retired before halfway, as did Doug Betts, retired before the 50-lap point. And Patrick Hernandez out after only 20 laps here at Richmond. That's the Richmond running order. Again, a lot of work to do here. Again, before we let you all go tonight, a reminder, this is our schedule for the next week in advance. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Let me make sure of that. 9:30 p.m. Saturday evening, it's Volusia 110 at the Daytona Road Course. Sunday, April 2nd, 7 p.m., myself and Kevin Young will be present for the Rock and Roll 200 at Richmond Raceway. Monday night, the last race in the HTL Cup Series regular season before the playoffs begin. It's at Daytona, their Firecracker 200. Tuesday, Long Beach hosts the Formula Atlantic competition April 4th. The next Friday, TWIGI iRacing Series goes to Las Vegas for the Lucky State 200. But that is the schedule coming up for this week in advance. Again, for everyone tuning in tonight, we appreciate you supporting us. We love you all so much. We're on the race to 500 followers here on Twitch. If you're not following us on Twitch, go ahead and give that little click and follow us. Subscribe to us if you want to support us. And if you're watching this on YouTube, all the links that you'll be needing for anything that we do will be in the description down below. But on behalf of Twiggy, on behalf of the Twiggy iRacing series, and everyone here on ABN, I'm Carmen Hardy. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, have fun this weekend if we don't see you until Monday. We'll be seeing you tomorrow night at Daytona.